Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are on for a big night tonight. The Nurburgring, 2 hours worth. So they say. It may go shorter. It's by number of laps tonight. So let's have a talk about our season standings, if I can find them. So, 20 kilometres of green hell tonight. The drivers, I don't know if they're ready, but it's coming. It's absolutely coming. So the standings overall are Season 8. Currently we have Michael Voch, currently P1, followed by Alex Court, Aaron Gilbert, Ilias Dugan, Aiden Rankin, and Lewis Gallen in our platinum class. And then our leader, Matthew Shanahan, on 48 points in the gold class, closely followed by Brad Coates on 39, and a real battle there between him and James Parker on 38 points, and Luke Avaloyne on 35, with Brendan McVicker there, still in the fight with 26 points. As we go down, we have a real battle on our hands for silver. Watch the battle of the mats tonight. Matt Webber, 24 points, against Matt Knight with 22 points. And bronze not doing too bad in the battle stakes themselves, with Tristan Jack on 10 points and Sam Monterosso on 4 points. They're just finishing up with qualifying as we speak. I'm seeing some checkered flags come in. Let's have a look at what's going on and see if we can't see some standings so far. So, at the moment, we have Alex Court has put it on pole, and Matt Webber, who I just mentioned a moment ago, is currently on a P2 tonight, with Matt Knight right behind him. That's that battle for the silver supremacy between those two. So right up the front there, ready to go. All right, so then rounding out the second row is Joe Farley, and we will have, let's get where we want to be here, hey, onto the grid and start having a look as they, of course, take this rolling start from down here. So we'll go through the grid again now that we have some time. So we have Alex Court and Glenn Krell. No, sorry, my bad. Let me get it back in order. All right, Alex Court and Matt Webber, followed by Matt Knight, heading up the second row alongside Joe Farley. Third row will be Brad Coates and Aiden Rankin. Aiden Rankin, a bit of a fan of the Green Hull, be looking to make a name for himself tonight. Then the next row, we're going to have John Fillingham starting next to Jared Eastman. Then Brad Fenley and Tristan Jack. Tristan currently our bronze leader. Those two will be battling it out, with Brad, of course, famous for that VB livery. And that rounds out the top 10. Going down, we'll then have Glenn Crallen and Jarrett Stark on the next row. Looks like some potential non-qualifiers beyond that there, so I'm not sure which of those are starting, because my name's in the list, but I am not. So I'm Justin Davis, bringing you another broadcast alongside the Hamilton RSL. This is round 7 of the Aussie Endurance Series. Big shout out to Hamilton RSL. We're about to go racing. We're gonna see some action tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this one. The Nurburgring, Green Hell, 20 kilometres of madness. I think it's about 20 kilometres, and it takes no prisoners. It takes none. This track, it will do it. It will. I don't know what I can say, folks. Be prepared, because it's coming. as we hone in on the Victoria Bitter wing there of Brad Fennelly as the safety car gets underway. Not sure who's driving the safety car. Let's say it's Bert Mylander. Getting some of those tyres warm there as we take a look at this long straight from the air. Looking at our leader, Alex Court, up behind the safety car, ready to go with Matt Webber alongside. Everybody just taking it easy, not too keen to pull up alongside the safety car and form up yet, just taking advantage of the pre-race times. As we watch them come down there very casually, little do they know, chaos is about to ensue. Down the tourist straight here. The Footin' Fartin' or whatever it's called. We'll just call it the tourist straight tonight. These drivers know that early on there's no quarter given at the Nurburgring, and this is a track where it can be very hard to pass. You're looking at about low 8 minutes for a lap here. So a lot of the track, any sort of pass becomes quite a dangerous pass. Have to pick your moments, plan it out in advance, and look for where you're going to make that attack. As we head down on to the Grand Prix circuit for now. And they're away. Alex Court with a great start, but Matt Webber has lost nothing in the start there. Not seeing too much chaos yet as it's all gone green. Everybody nice and casual into the first corner as we look at those two VGA cars coming around side by side. Just a little bit of a touch there. Got the Mercedes unsettled. Movement up the front as Matt Knight is moving around. Where's he? Woo! Oh no! That's Matt Knight around and backwards and into the field! Oh no! He's taken out. That's absolute chaos. Absolute carnage in the corner there. His wing's gone. So Matt Knight, our current silver second place, as Matt Webber's held on to the back of Alex Court and danced away there. Aiden Rankin up to P4, looking like he's running himself a nice stock green and white livery, like somebody who's just joined iRacing for the first time. Let's hope he doesn't drive like that tonight. Little bit of movement around the field. Jared Stark making his way past Zach Blake. Possibly an incident there because he's made a lot of headway already. Very close up the front there. Half a second now separates Matt Webber from Alex Court. Everybody still very close. Aiden Rankin closing into the back of Joel Farley, possibly looking to make something happen before things get too chaotic here as they head off the Grand Prix track down into the Green Hell proper. The winding, twisting mess of corners that follows for the next 16 to 18 kilometres as we watch the front end of that Mercedes bounce around aggressively. And if we look down here, Liana Healy is all over the back of Brad Fennelly, looking for a way past, possibly down into this downhill braking zone, which is quite a tight one, but there's just nowhere to make it happen. So they queue in tightly and rightly there, causing no carnage and no damage. So after that earlier shenanigan that involved our silver second place and took out Matt Knight, sent him tumbling down the order, currently sitting in P13. Everybody looks to have gotten through rather cleanly at this point as we head back on board with Joel Farley still being tailed by Aiden Rankin, and the pair of them closing in on Matt Webber. As Aiden Rankin looks to throw a move, but thinks better of it and backs out and settles in to head down the downhill here into that tricky multi-turn braking zone. Forget the name of this complex because I'm a terrible commentator. Don't hold it against me. Brad Fenley putting some pressure on Jared Eastman, but still feeling plenty of pressure from Liana Healy. Oh, as we see something's happened there. Let's see if we can find out what happened. And we're not seeing any events again. That's not great. Let's see if I can get something here so that we can see exactly what happened. Alright, so somewhere here, Aiden Rankin has gone past Joel Farley. So let's have a look at what happened. I caught the tail end of someone in the grass here. This is our instant replay. Just got a little bit loose, no touch, and backs it into the wall. Car looks to be okay, so hopefully he will survive that one unscathed as we jump back onto the live camera. Or attempt to, anyway. It's put us onto scenic. My bad. All right. On board with Brad Coates in that blacked out AMG as it trundles on down the track, chasing Aiden Rankin. Currently P4 and our highest placed gold. Going down the field, we see Brad Fenley having quite the battle with Liana Healy and Jared Eastman there. The three of them tangling up, trying to find a way through. And this is a particularly narrow section of track. Not an easy place to find a way past. He's all over the back of Jared Eastman there as Liana just settles in. I don't know if I'd be wanting to send it on two of them anywhere here as Brad Fenley tries to make an audacious move through the grass and it just doesn't quite play out, which may have left him open to Liana, who has come up the inside but just had to back out there because this is one of those sections that I mentioned. You just cannot find a way past, but it doesn't stop the action and doesn't stop the red mist from descending. And that's just given Jared a little bit of room to dance away down the track there. And if we look down the field a little bit, we can see John Fillingham is in the pits along with Matthew Shanahan. So some damage to those cars there. Those guys will not be happy. Looking at Gren Crallin in the Kit Kat car, giving chase to Sam Monterosso. A pair of bronze front runners. Both of them still heavily featured in this championship. And we head back to the action with Liana Healy trying to find a way past Brad here. They've just separated out a little bit and the front of the field has really just broken out a little bit here as we see Matt Webber about 2.5 seconds down from Alex Court, who's just having a nice comfortable race as he runs through those S's, watching that Porsche just dance around. New livery for Alex this week, and doesn't it look dashing? Big fan of that one. So he just nips the curb there, bit of sideways movement, but holds it together well as we jump on board with him. Let's see if we can get in the car there. Watching him come through this back section and the little mini carousel as he makes the turn towards the tourist straight to end lap number 1. Can you believe it, folks? Feels like we've been racing around for an hour and the field's already that spread. And we haven't even finished the first lap yet. As I see a bit of a pass has just happened. Let's just see if we can see what happened there. Jarrett Stark found his way past Sam Monterosso. So we'll just jump back and have a look at exactly what happened there. Oh, Sam looks to have had some sort of accident, so let's check that out. Got Sam just up ahead by the looks there as they come around, and he just takes that one a little bit tight, and he's okay at this point. How has he wound up so far down the field all of a sudden? Let's have a look. Oh, he's just pulled that one up. Maybe there was an earlier accident that we didn't see. So he's decided to take that one back to the pits and call it quits as we jump back live with, who are we going to go to? Brad Fenley, who's putting on all sorts of pressure on Jared Eastman right now. These two closest on track. Although I say that, but those cars are in the pits, so there are technically some closer, but not on track right now. These two battling it out, and if there's a chance, it's probably going to be for most cars tonight on this tourist straight where the slipstream is incredibly strong, or down the straight making a move into T1 on the Grand Prix track. So a lot of drivers here, knowing that this is quite a long race, will be thinking about managing tyres, managing fuel. It's quite easy to use more than a lap an hour, more than a tank an hour. And it's also a good track for a lot of fuel saving. So some will be looking to do that as we watch these two tailing each other through that Grand Prix section before merging onto the Green Hell proper, and just getting a bit closer to Tristan Jack as well there, so we'll just watch that gap as it starts to close. Jumping back on board in the stealth Mercedes of Brad Coates, who's trying to make some ground on Aiden Rankin at the moment. And as I say, very unforgiving. We've lost quite a few drivers already tonight. Looks like they have disappeared, and we're down to 17, with a couple of those in the pits still, possibly undergoing repairs. This is the part of the race where things just get a bit slow there. Something has gone awry with my timing. Why is it telling me that? Liana Healy is in P1. That doesn't seem right. We will find out what's happened there, because I'm not seeing any overtakes there. So Liana was in that battle with Brad Fenley, and as we see, did Sam just get going again? Sam has gotten himself going. He's into an outlap now. Okay, I'm seeing what's happened. So it looks like Liana may have towed to pits, which has completed the lap, but Alex Court still our leader. By the time that tow finishes, Alex will well and truly be far past that pit lane entry. So don't pay too much heed to the standings at the moment. We're on board with your race leader, Alex Court. We see a bit of a move switch between Brad Fenley and Tristan Jack. Let's go back and have a look at how that one took place. I would if I could get on board with the right person. Here we go. So we've got Jared Eastman leading that pack there. Brad Fenley just making a move up the inside and nice and clean, making it stick as they come on down the hill there. So we'll go back to live and have a look at what's going on track. Brad Coates still one of the closest on track to another competitor, giving chase to Aiden Rankin. 1.2 seconds the difference between them, and now out to 1.5. This is the part of the race where I wish I had a co-commentator. Anyone on chat? You want to jump in? Come on. Come on. It's a bit hard to talk to myself for all of this time, so I make stupid voices and put pauses in my sentences where they don't belong, because there's no overtakes happening right now, although Joel Farley is coming up to the back of Sam Monterosso and has made his way past on that straight section there. So nice clean move as they come around the back. Just dancing away. You wonder if there's possibly still some damage for Sam Monterosso, because that car does not appear to be running as quick as that machine of Joel Farley's. The field has spread right out. We'll jump on board with Matt Webber, having quite a comfortable race at the moment. 2.8 to the car ahead and 3.5 to the car behind. He's just doing some laps here and possibly biding his time, waiting for things to change as we jump in the car with him there on the roll bar of Matt Webber. Battle of the match. We were excited for one of those tonight. It hasn't happened. It hasn't played out. And it hasn't played out because of that chaos we saw early in the race. Let's see if we can get a replay on that action, given how it all went in the start. What have we got? I don't know if I can, but we're about to find out. Looks like this may be where it occurred. Here we go. So we see as they come around, John Fillingham giving chase to Matt Webber. And we will see Matt Webber just around right there. No holding of brakes, and sends poor John around and blocks that track. So that will likely be investigated by the stewards after the race. You have to think maybe they are going to be having a look at that view and having a look at whether there was perhaps some brake lights there or not, and whether they were held accordingly. But not up to us, as we see John spun around again there and decided the car needed some repairs before continuing. So we'll jump back to the live part of the race as we see John Fillingham back on track, sending it around there. No real pressure going around as we see that standings board start to correct itself with Liana Healy falling down the field. As I say, not truly leading there. Bit deceptive of our player there. Just one of those weird iRacing timer things. We watch Brad Coates within a second of Aiden Rankin now. Now, you have to wonder if that's due to the green and white livery, because anybody running the green and white livery is automatically being penalised 10 horsepower. Just not the done thing. And Jared Eastman has been overtaken recently by Brad Fenley as they go back to war. It's been a battle that's brewing the entire race, these two. So because there's not much else happening right now, let's go back and have a look at how that went down. So Brad just giving chase there. Down the straight, sees the run. Jared gets on the brakes, perhaps a touch early, and Brad says, "Thank you very much. I'll come up the inside and I will take that position," and gets the job done cleanly, and he's away in the Mercedes there. So we jump back on board live. As I mentioned, we move to the next car up the field, that matte black Stealth Mercedes AMG. The car to pick here. A lot of people who aren't regular AMG drivers driving AMGs tonight, and the gap between these two fluctuating between 1.5 and 1. So Brad giving it his all. We'll jump on to the gearbox of Aiden Rankin and just see how worried he should be about Brad Coates. Probably not too intimidating in his mirror just yet, but give it time. There's plenty of race left to go, folks. We're on lap 3 of 14. Going to be a long race, almost 2 hours. Should finish slightly short thereof, approximately 1 hour 57 or so, according to the predictions I have from the timing box. The send past us of that beautiful sounding AMG. Just get some more of that in our ears, shall we? As we look down the field, Matt Knight, after that unfortunate trouble earlier, makes a move on Chris Page. Trying to put in a recovery drive. Current second place in the championship standing in the Silver League, fighting against Matt Webber. The two of them have been close every race all year, and he will be very disappointed to find himself in this position. But let's not forget, folks, we have 2 drop rounds. By the end of the season, this may be one of those. May choose to say, Nurbs wasn't my night. We jump on board in the car there with Matt Knight trying to make his way back through the field, giving chase to Jarrett Stark is the next one down the road. And honestly, folks, there's just no one really close at this point. Brad Coates has had an issue and finds himself a few seconds behind Aiden Rankin here. Now 4 seconds between the two of them, so I'm not sure what's happened there. And I see Liana Healy appears to have had some problems and continues to lose positions, currently sitting P16 after that earlier pit stop. Possibly still some damage there. If you're anything like me, folks, you are hoping some of these folks close up as we watch Brad head around the carousel there. Hopefully they're biding their time, because right now I genuinely don't know what I'm going to talk about for another 11 laps at 8 minutes a lap. I mean, let's check out some of the liveries we're running tonight. So, Alex Court, a new livery tonight. If I'm not mistaken, that one is another autism awareness. The autism racing down the side there. Matt Webber coming down next in that very lovely decorated dash racing vehicle there. Lovely livery. And then whatever this bucket of green and white stock iRacing template. The effort's just not there, Rankin. 0 out of 10. Brad Coates, we've been on board with already, has that matte black. Lovely, beautiful thing. And don't worry, if anybody gets close, we're going to jump on board and watch them fight. Brad Fenley, ever in the VB vehicle there. Not sure about that one. Not my favourite drop. Though, being a Victorian from way back, I certainly have drank a bit in my youth. Jared Eastman in that VGA livery. A shout out to Veteran Gamers Australia. Look them up. And happy, well, not happy, but yes, recognition of their service for the members, both past and present. Many veterans amongst the group at Aussie Endurance Series. Remember, if you do want to get involved with AES, jump onto the website and the Discord and you'll find everything you need to get started and come racing with us. Tristan Jack following behind Jared Eastman in that blue and red Porsche. Looks not dissimilar to the Kit Kat car and causes me to often get confused between him and the next car down the road, Glenn Crallen. And I've got to tell you, I do love a Kit Kat, especially the new crushed cookies and cream one. Big fan. If you haven't tried it, get on it. And then the next car down the road, Matt Knight in that satiny looking black and green number. Quite an attractive livery, if I do say so myself. Got that half and inversion thing going on. I do like that one. Done well. Don't know if he made it, but if he has, absolutely beautiful. And after that earlier chaos, you've got to say Matt Knight there are doing well. Back within the top 10 and currently our third place in silver behind his championship rival Matt Webber and Jared Eastman. We can go down to Chris Page in a Cooper's livery there. So another one of our beer drivers. Often have a bit of a battle of the breweries between Milan Payrak, who's not racing tonight, but often repping the 4X livery. We have... the name escapes me, but often have ourselves a... the beer's name escapes me too. Doing well. Work brain. Use your big boy words. But, you know, not a hater of the Cooper's Pale Ale. We jump on board with Sam Monterosso in the Marlboro livery, taking it right back. Cannot get away with that anymore. Though, I'll tell you what, wouldn't mind a dart myself. And John Fillingham sending it in another VGA car there, the Veteran Gamers Australia. Again, big shout out to them, and a big shout out to the Hamilton RSL, who is a great supporter of the Aussie Endurance Series. Helps make this happen week to week. We jump on board with Matthew Shanahan, just as he appears to have a bit of a moment, sending it a little more over the curb than I suggest he would have intended in that corner. I'll jump on board with Zach Blake there. We'll go back up to, I'm dreading it, but as we look through the last of these liveries, quite a bright one, very fitting on the Nurburgring here. So Liana Healy a bit out of position after that earlier problem, finding herself between P1 and P2, but a lap down. And then Jared Stark in the pits with that Gulf Oils livery. Now, I'm just going to jump back to Aiden Rankin because he seems to have got a wriggle on at this point and finds himself closing on Matt Webber. And that's why I say I was reluctant to, because I'm not going to let him live it down. This livery is atrocious. That's the problem with these two being the closest battle on track right now, is we have to look at this atrocious thing. So we might actually skip up to Matt Webber and focus on his vehicle and just watch as that gap starts to close down. And you have to ask yourself, this is not a great section of track to be catching Liana there. So Matt Webber will be looking to get clear as soon as possible, because what I have noticed in weeks gone by is traffic management and your ability to get past makes all the difference in some of these races. If you get unlucky, it can cost you a podium. Especially tracks like this. So we just see he's got a little bit stuck there. Aiden Rankin closing the gap slowly but surely. Matt lost nearly 2 seconds to Aiden on the previous lap. Now, we have to ask ourselves, was that due to traffic? Or was that Aiden has found another gear and stopped fuel saving and decided it's time for a bit of a send? Matt Webber all over the back of that lapped car. The blue flags are waving wildly, looking for a way through, being held up and just not given the opportunity. And Aiden Rankin starting to really close that gap now. So there's just been no opportunity for Matt Webber. It's very tight through this section of track. Has closed that right down to 0.3 of a second. As you see, Matt Webber now desperately wanting to get past that vehicle, and Aiden Rankin looking to take advantage. So that car number 15 on its outlap is, as we see, Matt Webber just sending it a little deep. Desperation, trying to find his way past. Finds himself into the grass and grazing that wall, which invites Aiden straight through in that green and white Mercedes. Gross. And he's giving the flashes. He doesn't want the same fate there. So let's just stay on board with these two and watch if Liana is going to choose to let Aiden through easily here, or if he's going to have to force the issue. The flashes are going. We see there could be some action here, folks. I'm telling you. As they go around, Liana Healy is into the wall after being pressured under blue flags. That's Aiden Rankin's done well to escape that, but that's closed the gap right down for Matt Webber, who'll think he's still in with a chance here, and he very well may be if he can stick with Aiden close enough to get that slipstream down the tourist straight, because that tourist straight, it's worth quite a few. 1.2, maybe just out of range, just too short. Aiden Rankin, if I'm not mistaken, P5 start, done well, made it up to P2. Now giving chase, still 7 seconds to find, but at 8 minutes a lap, 10 laps is plenty of time to find it. we see Matt Webber just not able to make a dent on that gap down the straight. Just that little bit too far out of range to take advantage of any sort of slipstream. So we look down here at Sam Monterosso, not too far from Jarrett Stark, who my screen is telling me is potentially on an outlap. We saw that Golf liveried vehicle in the pits not too long ago, so he's back out on track and making his way around, with Sam Monterosso giving chase there. Tristan Jack, not too far off Jared Eastman. Still a potential battle brewing between the two of them, with Tristan making up 2 seconds in the last lap alone, which, again, on an 8-minute lap, isn't the toughest of things to do. 34 minutes of racing gone out of our potential about 2 hours or so, folks. So we just watch the field spread out. No battles to show you. So we're just really looking at people as they go around. Jump back on board with our race leader, Alex Court. He heads down into that long, sweeping, hilly section all the way down the hill. Roller coaster through here. You're brave enough, almost flat. In fact, it is flat through this section. And then getting on the anchors just as you come over this crest down here and try and pull it up. And bit of a tricky one, that one. The camber will spit you off the track if you just brake a little too hard and lock it up. So we see a number of cars pass. Jarrett Stark potentially? No. He's in the pits for his pit stop. So Aiden Rankin really starting to close that gap. And open the gap behind him, I should add. So as much as I hate to do it, because the livery is disgusting, finds himself just under 7 seconds behind Alex, and pulling that gap out to nearly 4 to Matt Webber, which, given the night, I don't think Matt will be too upset by that. Not really fighting for championship position here, with Matt Webber, his closest rival, down there in P9 after the chaos at the beginning of tonight's race. We've seen quite a few crashes, nothing quite as chaotic as the early GP section there on the green. I think it was T3 with this layout, but there has been some racing. As we see Tristan just starting to close that gap down on Jared Eastman and looking for a bit of a fight. Getting to the stage of the race where anybody who's been saving tyres and saving fuel knows it's a time to go. They're a bit sure of themselves now as that flat 6 comes roaring past us. Don't be shy, YouTube. You can say hello. As Tristan looking to make that move, sticks it around the outside, tries to go the long way around, touches the grass and just doesn't quite get it done. Has to tuck back in. We'll keep eyes on this battle, folks, because Tristan has the pace at the moment and is looking to make something happen. Scary section through here, high speed, holding it flat all the way through. Not a lot of room to make something happen, but Tristan's going to try and do it anyway as they go side by side. Again, going the long way around, but it looks like he's been able to get that one finished before the corner, and they will now head down into the next braking zone, having sorted that fight out and made a decision who's going to keep that one. So we look down the field a bit. Matthew Shanahan in the pits at the moment, along with Jarrett Stark again. So it looks like trouble has befallen the Gulf Oils vehicle of Jarrett Stark tonight. That Ferrari has been in the wars. And it's a long tow here as we jump back on board with Jarrett and see if he can mount the fight back there against Tristan Jack, who we moments ago watched in a intense battle find his way past. Jared not ready to give up, still fighting, still pushing, closing that gap right down, getting within 2/10 through this section and just making sure he holds on there. Gap just out a little bit again, pressure off for Tristan Jack. Is the flat 6 and the inline 6, I think, of the Beamer. Send it side by, well, not side by side anymore, but they were side by side as we see debris strewn across the track as they use every inch of it and just starting to get some marbles formed around the track now. Lap 5 of 14 we're currently on. Puts us about a third through the race. You'll have to excuse me if I try to think of things to say because we're all just doing tourist laps at the moment. This is like a regular day at the ring. In fact, I think there's probably more overtakes on a regular day at the ring. Mind you, what's happened here? Some position swapping going on. Let's see if we can get the replay of that. Matt Knight has found a way past Glenn Crellin to take P8 in his recovery drive. Let's go back and see how that one happened. So Matt Knight involved in a first lap incident very early on and has been steadily picking his way through the field ever since, as Matt Crellin just chooses to give that one up. He's just pulled that car up and said, come on through. So potentially he was just looking at the gaps and thought, this isn't my fight. I'm not particularly keen on fighting it. As we jump back to the live there. Aiden Rankin hovering about 7 seconds, hasn't made anything up on Alex Court, who is having a fine night out the front there. Almost able to take the win last week, but did come in P2 if my memory serves, which it often doesn't. So he will be crossing fingers, toes, and everything else that he can get crossed, that tonight continues and he's able to just maintain that pace and continue on down the track. But, you know, I'm not seeing any colour on the timing board at all, folks. You know what that means? That means everybody is holding their own space, which makes sense. It's a giant, giant track. We watch Alex through this particularly technical section that challenges drivers as camber falls away under you. The curbs demand that you use them, but also demand respect if you're going to maintain your pace. Meanwhile, at this section of the race, a small mistake puts you in the marbles and you have zero grip to work with. Sends it on down that straight. And the challenger, Aiden Rankin, following a small way behind. It's Porsche versus AMG. Big, heavy boat anchor up front versus the lean and mean flat six up the back. I don't know about you, but often I prefer it up the back of my Porsche or my Beetle. I'd like to see a GT3 Beetle. I think that'd be cool. A roar from that spicy Euro V8. So we jump on board with Brad Fenley, who's in another one of those spicy V8s. Has an entire postcode of track real estate. He could set up camp out here and build himself a nice little home in the German countryside with the gap that he has either side of him right now, approximately 20 seconds aside. So Brad just looking to bring that P5 home potentially and hoping for some chaos to unfold ahead. Tristan able to just scoot down the track away from Jared Eastman a little bit as Zach Blake gives chase. However, it should be noted that Zach Blake is currently a lap down, so even if he finds his way past, that won't worry Jared too much. Jared being chased by Matt Knight, who is currently 50 seconds down after the troublesome start that I've mentioned a few times. I apologise, Matt Knight. I will stop bringing that up. I just need to remind people why you're in P8. It's not a dig. It's a understanding that you have fought tooth and nail to find your way back through the field. Still plenty of time left. Is it enough time to make up 50 seconds? Time will tell. Time will tell. In fact, if we jump on board with Matt Knight, we can see the difference there. It looks like he actually did make up 14 seconds on Jared in the previous lap. Trying to see where all of that came from. I'm seeing a couple of ones and twos, but there was potentially a mistake from Jared somewhere. I'm not sure if that's a common one, but we'll keep an eye on it if that gap continues to close and Matt continues on his charge up the field. I'll make sure you hear about it, chat. You will. You'll hear about it. Just like you'll hear about my monster. No, not that monster. My Strawberry Dreams. Ultra Strawberry Dreams, because you got to have the sugar-free. You'll have to mind the silence as I guzzle down some refreshing monster, because unlike your typical broadcast, no co-broadcaster to cover me while I am wetting that whistle. Who are we going to jump on board with next, folks? Who are you supporting in the chat? We haven't seen that stealth black vehicle of Brad Coates for a while. Lot of Mercedes. I get the feeling it must be strong this year because I haven't seen a... fact, I can only see a handful of... Yeah, I only see a handful of vehicles on the grid tonight. It is either a Mercedes, a Porsche, or a... Yeah, Mercedes, Porsche, or a BMW for the majority of them, with Jarrett Stark, the odd one out, the man loyal to the Ferrari with that Gulf Oil's traditional livery. About an hour and 6 of racing remaining. The timing room says at the moment as we watch that big black beautiful beast rolling on towards the end of the tourist straight. We'll jump in the car with him there and have a listen to that monster. That is a place you would love to be. We'll just jump down. Are they in the pits? Yes, they are. Thought maybe we were going to see some action, but it's just too much as we watch them come streaming on past the stationary vehicles in the pit lane. We haven't seen much of Glenn Crellin tonight, but he's just cruising along, I guess. Matt Knight was the last to pass Glenn in that Kit Kat car. Do love a Kit Kat. We just watch it streaming down through that roller coaster of turns and downhills and uphills as... Oh no, Glenn! We were watching, you were doing so well, sending it through there, and has found his way out of all the cars that we happen to be watching. That's got to have done some damage. I can't imagine that's a fun car to drive right now. That was a big old hit into the wall. Looks to be crabbing, and he looks to be deciding whether that feels very drivable or not. Is he going to try and make it around to the pit lane? We'll jump on board and see just how hard that one is for him to drive. And look at the angle of that wheel as he drives down the tourist straight. Oh boy, that car is in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble, but he's not ready to take another tow, Glenn Crellin. He is determined that he is going to drive it as hard as he can and take it back to the pit lane. You feel for him. You do genuinely feel for Glenn. That was a big old hit into the wall. I kind of assumed the front end would be rather destroyed as we watch him trying to nurse this one back. Going very slowly indeed, but fortunately at this stage of the race they have all spread out so gosh darn much that he's not going to have to worry about anything but cruising on into that pit lane. And wise decision there. I think that's going to save him significant time versus if he had decided to tow that from where he was on the track. And then there were 3, possibly 4, currently in the pits as we see Glenn just crabbing his way in there a little bit sideways. I don't think the vehicle's meant to move diagonally. So what have we got? 1, 2. Yes, and then there were 3. We'll jump on board with Aiden Rankin, whose roof appears to have turned blue at some stage. It wasn't blue before, was it? Am I losing my mind? No, I have trading paints open, because that's my usual mistake when somebody has a regular livery. But let's, just in case, do a paint re-download. Anyway, Aiden Rankin starting to close that gap up a little bit. As we were watching earlier, it was holding steady. You suggest that 7 seconds may have just been Aiden Rankin utilising the casualness and the spread-outedness. Yes, English is not my strongest suit, and I don't even have the excuse of it not being my first language. I'm just not that bright. Anyway, you suggest that perhaps he was saving some tyres and saving some fuel and is now looking at the time and thinking, I've got some to spare, it's time to send this and make it happen. Closing it down a little bit by little bit as we jump on board with Alex up the front there in a much more attractive livery than Rankin's. Alex caught just doing laps at the moment. We see how much that gap's closed down as Rankin rounds the corner in the distance. The gap now under 4 seconds, and you can guarantee that Alex is watching his relative, wondering, waiting, thinking, when is this battle going to be on and how hard am I going to have to defend? Wait, I think I said he was second last week. I take that back. Alex took the win last week. Michael Vogt trying to catch him and was just unable to by the end of the race. And I tell you what, chat, if the racing isn't excited enough for you, as we watch John Fillingham all over the back of Chris Page, and if the racing isn't exciting enough for you, at least we've got chat going absolutely mental in here tonight. Thank you for all your comments. So we see John make light work, finding his way through and heading on down the track, ready to chase his next victim, who would be Glenn Crellin, who I suspect may potentially still be... No, he's not in the pits. How has Glenn... He must have had himself a fast repair, because he is back on track. No wonder he didn't take the tow. Got in there, got the job done, got back out on track, has lost himself no positions in doing so. But he is now under threat from John Fillingham, who's giving chase and just 2.3 seconds down the road. So we see something has happened with young Rankin there, as Alex takes 1.1 seconds from him in the past lap and has increased that lead significantly across this lap, now back out to 4.5. John Fillingham has close that gap right down, and Glenn decides not to battle that one too hard. Pace differential, Glenn has decided that he is best served by moving over and letting John through rather than fighting that too hard and perhaps causing an issue. As we see Aiden and Alex both take their pit stops. Who is going to be able to come out first? Are we going to see some pit stop and some strategy shenanigans? We'll jump on board with Alex, who was a few seconds down the track there, as we see a new temporary race leader. Or do we? Brad Coates has just come past Aiden Rankin as well, and we see that stealth black Mercedes. So this appears to be the lap where it all goes down, taking on a full tank of fuel. So we see them all dropped fresh tyres on board, no doubt. Nurbs isn't the kind of track where you don't take it. And we see Alex get away cleanly with Aiden not too far behind. He will be sweating that limiter. There's nothing worse than watching your rival head on down the track while you can't do a damn thing about it. And we'll just watch Alex as he heads out here on these cold tyres and ask ourselves if any trouble will befall any of our pitters. And it's not the kind of track that you get yourself a lot of strategy leeway. It's not the kind of track where a little bit of fuel saving will get you that extra lap like some tracks. Either you're making the lap or you're not making the lap. You don't make up 20 kilometres over a stint. So we jump on board with Aiden Rankin following. Has lost a little bit of time through that pit sequence, just a bit further back than what he started, so we'll be looking to make it up. The question is, when you're the challenger looking to find your way to the front, what do you do? Do you send it? Do you bide your time on those cold tyres and suggest it's okay to lose a little bit of time and hope you can make that back up later? There is the question of bringing your tyres in gently versus sending it on that outlap. There does seem to be some question among race fans if bringing them in gently does increase their longevity. So, Aiden Rankin perhaps just doing that at the moment, just looking for a bit of peace at the moment with 9 seconds to Matt Webber behind him. And we'll jump on board with Matt Webber now. Still in P3 after starting in, or was it P2? Just casually makes his way along there. As the racing continues to be door to door, bumper to bumper, and the chat continues to go wild. Might just have a little nap here while we wait for the excitement to ramp up at the end of the race. And you have to wonder what Matt Webber's favourite cut of steak is and how he has it cooked. Do you think he likes it medium rare? Like a normal, civilized human being? Medium? Or do you think he's more of a well-done animal? We can only guess. It's all conjecture at this point. As we see a bit of movement down here. Let's go back and have a look. Just keeping an eye on timing for you folks, and we can keep you up to date if anything has changed. Although, I do see... I wish this thing worked more reliably, I tell you. So I can see, I don't know what happened, but we have a black flag for Chris Page at the moment and a meatball for Matthew Shanahan. So they're not going well. And Michael Vogt apparently is a part of this race. I don't know when he joined. He's 6 laps down. He's on his first lap. He's just decided to jump in the car and go for a drive. Good on you, Mick. Sim Magic livery looking fantastic there. He just thought, you know what? What else have I got to do? I'll jump on, go for a drive. Probably won't get a podium when you start from hour 2 of a 2-hour race. But, hey, all credit to him getting out there in that Simline vehicle with its Deutschlandisch flags on the tips of the wing there, representing their commitment to compete this weekend in the Nurburgring 24-hour, the big one coming up. This is the... we watch him take all the track there. That was a bit of a pants moment. So we jump on board with Matt Knight closing up on the back of Brad Fenley. The VB car versus the can't read it car because I'm blind and old and my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. And closing at a rate of knots, the question one has to ask, what does Brad Fenley do? Does he think of those of us in the box here with a microphone in our face and give us something to watch, something to be entertained by? Or does he think only of himself and his race and make a strategy decision? We're about to find out. Gap is under 1 second from Matt Knight to Brad Fenley. Matt, famously in a first lap drama, is fought his way all the back from P6, now within a second of taking P5. That is one hell of a comeback drive. Puts him just 2 positions down from his main championship rival, Matt Webber, who's currently up in position 3. Don't go anywhere, folks. Don't get a drink. Don't go for a smoke, because let me tell you, this action is non-stop. Just going to stay on board with these two and check this battle out as we jump on to the gearbox of Brad. And just watch that menacing Porsche of Matt Knight, who's on the march doing his recovery drive, down to within half a second now. It's just closing, and we jump on board the roll bar of Matt Knight and watch him making up some time down that tourist straight. The question is he going to have enough to get it done by the end? I don't think so. He's going to be potentially just a little too far back, but he will be looking to make something happen early in the lap perhaps on that Grand Prix section. A FIA Grade 1 track through the GP circuit. Same can't be said as we see him dive for the pits. Matt Knight yet to take his stop. So, all of that excitement and... Okay, fair enough. It is what it is. Alright. On board with Rankin. So we just follow the green and white monstrosity with the disgusting blue roof around. So yeah, as I was saying, the GP track there is FIA Grade 1. Not so once you round that corner onto the Green Hill proper, onto the Nordschleife, as they call it. Famously unforgiving, famously expensive if you crash. I don't know if you know, but you have to pay for the entire time that the Nurburgring is closed if you put it into the fence, because they obviously can't continue to run it with a damaged barrier. So you're paying for the lost income while the track is out of operation, as well as a hefty repair bill for the barrier itself. Six seconds between them, this track not being kind to Rankin and favouring Alex Court at the moment, who is just cruising up ahead and hoping to just cruise all the way home. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Still a long way of racing left. Just 5 laps, which at most tracks you would say it's almost over. But not here. Not here. In fact, this track is so long and so brutal. Let me bring up a graphic for you guys. If we have a look at our lap chart here at the moment, you can see that there is but 4 cars in our top 12 that are within 3 seconds of each other on a last 5 lap average, which, you know, wouldn't make sense anywhere but the Nurburgring. A special track, a lot of drivers love it. I tell you what, if you're a driver who likes safety rating, it's a great track for that, considering the whole incidents per corner thing. And have you ever seen a track with more corners than this absolute chaotic German fever dream? We'll take that graphic out of the way, because I'm sure you don't want to watch that all night, considering how out of the craziness it is. Chris Pate still got that black flag, and Zach Blake has found himself a black flag for something there, as well as Matthew Shanahan in the pits, still trying to get that BMW repaired and get that meatball out of the way. Jumping on board with Tristan Jack, who's currently 5 seconds or so behind Matt Knight as he scampers on down the road, looking to make that big old recovery drive and catch back up to Brad Fenley after he did only to stop for a belly full of fuel and some new shoes. It's quite telling that the field is full of German cars, because if you're a German car manufacturer, where do you test your performance vehicles? You test them at the Nurburgring. So they tend to be very well suited to this place. And for those of you looking for maybe some intel on who's racing what come the weekend, we have a look. For example, you see Michael Vogt, who looks to have potentially had some sort of... Or is it just bumpy down there? No, he's fine. He's fine. My mistake. I saw the way that car was bouncing around for a moment and thought, oh, he's done himself a mischief. But there was no mischief done. It's just a very... Oh, we watched the back end of that just launch over those bumps. Suspension earning every dollar that was paid for it through that section there. Still a couple of black flags yet to be cleared further up the track. As we just randomly pick people to jump on board with. And this is Jared Eastman. 10 seconds to Tristan up in front. As you may remember, we watched that battle earlier, so relatively closely matched these two. Not under too much threat at the moment from Glenn Crallan. Nurburgring can bite, so don't rule Glenn out yet. It's one of those tracks, but Jared not having a great week last week. He will be happy that BMW is still in one piece and still finding its way around the track. As we check out this incredibly close racing between John Fillingham, just 35 seconds behind Glenn and only 3 minutes ahead of Chris Page. The action could explode at any moment. The gold wheels and decals of the Team VGA car. Again, big shout out to Veteran Gamers Australia. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I don't know what's more exciting tonight, chat. Whether it's the comments, which I can't keep up with, or just how close this racing is. As we see, has trouble befallen Matt Knight up ahead somewhere? I was watching that number fall a little bit as Tristan tracked towards him, but perhaps just a small moment because order has been resumed. And to continue the questions on meat preferences, we hear that absolutely pinned flat six as it flies on by. You have to wonder, much the same as we wondered earlier about Glenn Crallan. No, sorry, it was Matt Knight we were talking about. We haven't perused Glenn's meat preferences. But do you think Tristan takes his stakes? I'd like to hope every driver on the grid doesn't go above a medium, because we're a civilized league and nobody here is an animal, as we see. Oh, I don't know whose tyre smoke that was. See here, it looks like that was Liana Healy, who has had a rough night. You may remember Liana found themselves in the pit earlier as they come out right behind Matt Knight there, and he's overtaken. Oh, let's see if we can get on board and see what's happened there. And the back end on those cold tyres just goes around. And they wisely wait for Tristan to come on by before spinning it around and continuing on down the road. We get back onto the live there and see how things are sitting. Tristan Jack continues to tail Matt Knight. And they're just... There's not even the threat of an overtake right now, if I'm honest with you. Seen much of this man in the Cooper's vehicle, still putting in laps. Honest work in the Cooper's car. Jump on board with Jared Eastman. He sends it around and down the hill, down into that terrifying full commitment braking section at the track back up the hill here. A very technical section through here as you have that multi-stage braking. Brake and turn and brake and turn, and you're getting right down to the slowest point there and then back on it for the run down to that next left-hander. Looks like some of those flags have been cleared. Zach Blake able to clear his. No, sorry, Zach Blake still got his. I can't remember who. Chris Page had the other one. Appears to have cleared it. And Michael Voch coming past Matthew Shanahan. So I claim that he wouldn't make up too many positions, but he's made up one so far. A pretty damaged vehicle for poor Matthew Shanahan, as it still has that meatball flag telling him he's not allowed back out. Possibly might have got the old Jim. Looks like that engine is toast. You're going to need a tow back to pit lane. Get out of here, Jim. I nearly swore then. That's the level of PTSD Jim gives me. Jerk, Jim. So we're an hour 23 down. The field is incredibly spread out at the moment. Very little danger of an overtake happening anywhere on track right now. We're just riding on board as, Jared Eastman a little wide and a graze with the fence to liven up proceedings for us. But the BMW survives and continues on. Lives to fight another day. Only just. That was a Code Brown moment, that one. Code Brown. So we go back to the replay there and watch again as Jared just sends a little hard. Found himself in the dirt, although may not have gone back far enough for that. Or did I? Yeah, no. I went back 30 seconds. Not enough. Not enough. But, jump back to the live and have a look at the wonderful stealth out Mercedes of Brad Coates. You know what? I do enjoy a blacked out monster. It's intimidating. Especially Matt. There's something about a car in Matt, isn't there? It's an attractive look. Enough to make a man excited. As we watch Brad using all of the truck. He paid for all of it. He's going to use all of it. And ain't nobody going to stop him. So, currently got himself a nice healthy bit of real estate. 15 seconds to Matt Webber in front. And Alex Court, who we've spent some time on board with, let's jump in the car with him. He is putting on a masterclass of composure tonight. Sitting pretty up the front of the field there, making that Porsche work for him. He holds it flat-footed, 6th gear. Flat, flat, flat. Lifts and gets on the brakes as he comes over that crest and pulls it up to get it around and head down the hill through that winding zone, crossing over those curves. Thinking to himself, don't scrub, don't scrub. Keep every skerrick of speed. Gets on the brakes for the first brake, the second brake, back on it, and the next braking zone. Pulls it all the way down to 2nd gear and gets around and back into it. We see that one heading on down from the static cameras there. And Aiden Rankin not too far behind, giving chase. And as we look down the track, Matt Webber falling off just a little bit, but still sitting pretty in 3rd there. I don't think he will be upset with where he's found himself tonight. Had a fairly uncomplicated race so far in the TKR racing vehicle. Coming down through that section where if you're not careful, it does like to take a bit of a slide. Avoiding those marbles, getting down for the left-hander up into that tight right-hander, which can be a bit counterintuitive. Carry much more speed than you think you can through there, owing to the camber and the grade of that road. Matthew Shanahan finally calling it quits and deciding that that cooked engine is a little cooked and he's had enough for tonight. Roughly an hour and a half of racing down. Another 25 to go and we will have a winner. The question is, will it be Rankin? Will it be Court? Or will somebody come from the deep with an upset? It would take something catastrophic for it not to be one of the two up the front, who are still close enough to battle before time is out tonight. But this is the Nurburgring, the Green Hell, the Nordschleife. Catastrophic is what it is known for. Unless you are Sasha Chowden, then this place can bite unexpectedly and at any time, as we see the rear end of Matt's car just complaining a little bit, searching, hunting for grip, but he controls it well and continues on down, grabbing a bit of curb and carrying maximum speed as, out into the dirt just a little bit there. Giving it plenty, putting on a show for all of the hectic chatters that are making all the noise in chat right now. We'll jump on board with Glenn Crallen in the Kit Kat car. We watch him just head on down through that lift and coast and brake section as necessitated by that bit of a hump that will lift off and lock the brakes up and send you well and truly into the fence if you get on the brakes a little too early. And it had cleared earlier, but I'm now seeing on my timing screen another black flag for Chris Paich. I'm not sure what's happened there. Being chased down by Liana Healy, and this is for position. So folks, we have a battle on our hands. Let's stick with these two and see what happens. We'll jump on board with Liana and have a look as she gives chase, looking for a way past, thinks about taking the inside there as we see a lot of curb taken and just sends it up the inside and gets the job done. Let's have a look back at that one as we jump on to the TV cameras there and have a look. Liana getting closer, closer, closer in that replay. Giving the flashes there, just letting the Cooper's vehicle of Chris Paich know and sends it around the inside and says, you don't get to make a choice whether I come past, I'm coming past. Jump back into the live there. So a bit of a fight back from Liana after some trouble earlier in the race. Back up to P11. Not so far from the top 10 at this point. The interval, just 14 seconds, is it? No. Yes, not sure. John Fillingham, the next one up the track. And I'm seeing on my timing screen 5 minutes and 45 to John. So a lot to make up in the space of 3 laps. Looks like this one may be cut a little bit short. We were looking at 14 laps, but has not happened at this point. Jump on board with Jarrett Stark, who trouble has befallen in the Gulf Oil's Ferrari, the only Ferrari in the field and the only Italian car in the field tonight. Currently 25 seconds behind Chris Page and looking to make something happen before the end of this race. Still got time there. Looks like it's going to take the full 2 hours tonight. Oh, as we see the car of Jared Eastman taking all the track and then a little bit more in the background there. As he uses that slipstream to close and close and close on Jarrett Stark. So Jarrett will be getting those blue flags at this point, being waved at him from the various marshals around the track, telling him, hey, there is a faster vehicle behind. However, as we know, they are informational only. So the question is, does he make it easy for Jared, or is this one going to be a bit difficult? And we see a bit unlucky, but Jarrett diving into the pits there. And Jared continues on his merry way. We'll jump back on board with Jared as we see him dive down into the downhill braking zone of turn 1, grabbing all of the curb and getting on it early to get himself set and around and cutting across towards the end of the GP track. So we see the Cooper's car of Chris Page not too far ahead, possibly stricken and carrying some damage. It's been a while since we looked at our friend Brad Fenley in the VB car as he heads down the hill and to the right to send it all the way through the roller coaster-like section down into that tricky braking zone, which I do enjoy. Jumping on the roll bar and watching as drivers come through there. So we see brakes, off the brakes, on the brakes, back on the power, and straight back on the brakes for the slowest point of the track as he gets around and back on the power cleanly. Around past that cell tower there. Hopefully the 5G does not give him any conspiracy theory diseases. As we know, there was some contention whether they maybe caused certain things around 2020. Brad making the big Euro growly V8 work for him. As I say, P5 got himself some nice real estate, a nice little cushion in front and behind to just put in laps and take the position. Though I'm sure he would like to find his way up to Brad Coates there in P4, which would give him the gold overall win. So let's have a look at our positions tonight based on who is leading from what class, because we haven't done that for a while and we're edging towards the end of this one, and it looks like we're predicting that we will get the 14 laps. I was mistaken. or more like my timing guy was mistaken and has given me some misinformation there. So, looking at things here, we have Alex Court, our platinum leader, followed by Matt Webber, our silver leader, Brad Coates, our gold leader, and Tristan Jack, our current bronze leader and current bronze championship leader. So currently, both silver and bronze looking to extend their championship lead. Alex Court looking to potentially overtake Michael Voch for the overall championship first place. Though it's hard to make a call with the drop rounds. We don't know what will happen, which is why it's worth following along until the very end of the night. Well, not the night, the season. This is what happens when we get to this time of night on a 2-hour race, when my voice is broken, my brain's broken, my will and my spirit is broken, and there's nobody close enough to overtake. So we get to wondering about the field and their preference for stake. So again, I ask you, chat, medium, or are these drivers absolute animals, uncivilized beasts that say things like, I hate it still mooing, it's got to be well done, in which case they deserve to be stripped of all points tonight and for the foreseeable future. Yes, I feel that strongly about my stake preparation. We'll jump on board with Aiden Rankin, who does not appear to be closing things down too much, as he sends it into the end of lap 12. Coming back on to the GP track momentarily. Another person that deserves to be stripped of points, not for their preference of stake, but for their preference of livery. Not okay, Rankin. Not okay. Making the big, heavy front end of the Merc work for him around here. But not as well as Alex is making that lighter front end of the Porsche work for him tonight. One of those cars that the inertia of the big heavy bunter, the big heavy tail end of the Porsche, can bite when you're lower on fuel, but Alex has it well under control tonight, starting lap 13 and 2 laps to go. Put it on pole, drove away from the start, has had a exemplary night, nothing to complain about, nothing to report, has not been challenged so far, and is at this stage, touch wood, looking to drive this one all the way to the finish. As he turns back on to the Nordschleife. It's quite a shock to the system as a driver when you go from that FIA Grade 1 with sufficient runoffs and sufficient safety on to this rickety goat track of death. As we see Rankin pass on by in the background, still trying to make some headway, make something happen. Just 2 laps to do it, but hasn't been able to do anything so far. And this is one of those tracks, you see that white flag come out and you think it's almost over. Not so, because this is the Nordschleife, baby. The Nordschleife does not make it easy on anyone. You see that white flag come out and you've still got half a goddamn sprint race left. as he just cruises on around comfortably. It's been a while since we got a eye on our friend Matt Knight, who's had quite a miracle recovery drive back to P6 after finding himself at the tail end early on, having qualified in P3, front of the second row. Just putting in honest laps tonight, making it work for him, and having to put in more work than most drivers. I would say if there was a point for the most overtakes, if I had to guess, it would be Matt Knight's point tonight. You can tell by the way he's driven this race that he's a man that does not like his steak well done. I don't know why I'm obsessed with steak tonight. To find something new to obsess over next week. If the field spreads out like this and I have to find something inane to talk about because I'm talking to myself. Mind you, I could take advantage of the wild, constant stream of comments that you're all leaving in chat right now. So we get that beautiful wide view of that Porsche and that sound that it makes, which I don't think I'll ever get tired of. That high revving, screaming flat six going flat out. And to think, the purists told us that it's not a Porsche anymore when they went water-cooled. Still longing for the days of air-cooled, but let me tell you, you can't hear that sound and think they didn't make the right decision. The modern Porsche engine is an absolute masterpiece of engineering. According to my timing screen, Jared Eastman has got himself a black flag. Looking at that, he has sent it off track potentially one too many times, getting himself a penalty tonight. Easy to rack up the off tracks here. They just appear out of nowhere, and it's a track where unless you use all of it and flirt with those track limits, you're not fast. Plain and simple. As we jump on board with Glenn Crallen, who still giving chase to John Fillingham, 7 seconds up the road from him, and 30 seconds up the road is Jared Eastman. Been befallen by some trouble tonight. We saw earlier in the night Glenn driving down the Tourist Straight with a steering angle at almost 90 degrees. I'd say it was 85 degrees if it was a degree at all, as Michael Voch makes up another place on Sam Monterosso, who has also been befallen by trouble tonight and is no longer in the car. The racing suit's off, the helmet's off, and he has gone home for the evening. Jumping on board with Zach Blake, who we haven't seen much of tonight, suggesting he's on an outlap, so potentially just being in the pits, though I don't know that he would be on fresh tyres because he has just cleared a black flag. So I would say that one was just a bit of a drive-through required for taking a little bit too much advantage of those track limits. We've seen a few of them tonight. It's been a cruel track, as it always is. We've lucked out and been on board when we've seen several cars making contact. Couple of laps down, Zach Blake, as we see again the commentator's curse. Zach Blake puts it straight into the wall there, and if we jump on board, the question is the steering wheel still straight? It looks to be mostly so. He may have gotten away with that without too much damage. Looks to still be steering in the direction he points at. Maybe a slight tweak, but nothing too significant. As we jump on board with Alex Court, who's just started his 14th and final lap on the white flag there. As I've said earlier, exemplary night. Final lap, be looking to bring that one home and make a absolute show of it. He has put on a clinic tonight, the Nordschleife Clinic, presented by your Professor Alex Court. Don't everybody go too wild in the comments for him all at once here, hey? And it looks like there's been an off somewhere for Rankin, who is no longer putting in a challenge, but is being challenged by Matt Webber. Now 25 seconds behind Alex Court. So he has gone from trying to find a bit of extra pace to make a challenge for the top step to defending the second step from the third step aggressor, who is Matt Webber. Jump on board with Matt as we watch him trying to catch Aiden Rankin. 17 seconds he made up in the past lap, which, given the way those lap times have run tonight, you have to suggest that trouble has befallen the man with the dog shit livery. The gap now to Rankin, under 2 seconds, closest to on track. About 6 minutes of Nurburgring chaos remaining. The question is, can Matt close that gap up enough to steal that second step? He will sense the blood in the water. He can see the relative tumbling. He's pushing. Rankin, whatever befell him, may have possibly done some damage, because let me tell you, Webber is absolutely flying. But as we see a little wobble from the vehicle of Rankin into that braking zone, and it's now down to 1 second. It's always the final lap in these long ones that brings on the heat. The battle for P2 is well and truly on. Has Rankin taken some damage? Let me tell you, I have seen this man make this car wider than some of my relatives on the in-law side. He will be looking to defend, but that's a lot of Nurburgring to defend through. And Webber will be looking to make the second step his. The gap, just 0.7 of a second. Can Rankin do a Gandalf impression as we look at them close up on each other, jumping onto the gearbox of Rankin? We watch that BMW menacing the rear vision mirror, menacing the back of that vehicle, just putting all the pressure on Rankin. How will Rankin defend? Jumping on to the external camera as we see Webber look left, look right, and Rankin just closing every door that he can, trying to make it difficult. And there's definitely a problem for that car with Rankin as we watch that rear just twitch in every braking zone. But got himself a bit of breathing room for but a moment as Webber had to back out for a second there. But he's all over the back of Rankin. All over. Closing it, just riding. And we see Rankin move over and just shut that door a little bit. Holding the middle of the road there. Just trying to make this difficult. Trying to hold on as Court scoots up the road. 30 seconds between Alex Court and Aiden Rankin now. So, Alex Court has this one in the bag. This is the only question left to ask on track as we see them just about touching. And Webber sticks it alongside, trying to take that position. Can he get it done? Aiden Rankin holds on, and they go side by side, and they touch! Oh! Webber into the wall briefly, but it doesn't look to have done too much damage. Rankin wasn't willing to give that one up, and that was always going to be trouble. You don't go too wide through there. It's too fast a corner. There's only one line, and it has ended in disaster for Webber. But he's still under a second as they come through the carousel and closing back up. Aiden's not done through defending this lap yet. Or is he? Just out to over a second. Did Webber take any damage in that little touch there? The vehicle of Rankin still very twitchy. We watch under brakes as that rear end twitches constantly, and the gap slowly closing to Webber, who's coming back, will be looking potentially to be close enough to make that slipstream work for him down the tourist straight, which may be his best chance to just bide his time and make that work for him, as it's very single file through here, and it's clear that Rankin is intent on defending this position and making this difficult. But as we see, that may be the end for Matt Webber. He's just taken it wide into the dirt and now has a big margin to make up by the end of this lap. Potentially, stewards having a look at what happened there between Rankin and Webber. We'll see what they say. Potential racing incident? I don't know. I don't know how to call it, and I'm not a steward. We'll leave it up to the reviewers to do what they do best and review as the lap comes towards an end there. Only a few more corners and they're onto the tourist straight. Still 2.2 between them. That won't be enough to give Webber a slipstream. That foray onto the dirt may have cost him as we jump on board with Alex Court, who nears the end of his lap, and we watch him take the checkered flag. Coming around back on to the GP circuit for the final time. Our winner, Alex Court, flashing those lights. He knows he's done it. He weaves left, weaves right, pulls up over the line. He has taken the checkered flag there. Just cheekily rolls over it, knowing that he's under no pressure at all tonight, and does a skid straight off the bat. No waiting for Alex, who's taken it cleanly. So we'll go back to Aiden and Webber. There's only a second between the two of them, so definitely down on speed a little bit, but I don't think it will be enough to close that gap. Aiden holds on to that second step after a hotly contested final lap. As he chucks in a big old skid to celebrate, making it to the end and holding on just to P2 there. Matt Webber also throwing a skid in that TKR Racing BMW. Any rubber left, they're going to use it. So just 4 cars taking the checkered flag so far. We have our silver winner, our gold winner, Brad Coates, taking the flag. So we'll have Alex Court, Rankin, and... Alex Court, Rankin, and Matt Webber in, please. And we'll have Brad Coates and our bronze winner, Tristan Jack. If you can jump in, and we'll pull you up for a bit of a post-race chat. You can jump into Race Voice. It would be muchly appreciated when you're finished with those wonderful skids. Paid for the tyres, you might as well use the tyres. I don't blame you. Wonderful, wonderful evening of racing here tonight. As we look down the tourist straight as the cars to the left head on down to take the checkered flag for the final time. We have Matt Webber here. How are you, Matt? How was your night?
Mate, interesting long. I don't know this track very well, so I really cut my teeth tonight to get some laps in. So it just took 2 hours of full-on concentration. So settled into a groove. Just unfortunate that last little incident with Mr. Rankin, but I guess we'll review that and see what happened there. But he must have had a dingle and had some damage.
I think he did. I did notice that Rankin did fall off from our race winner, Alex Court, tonight. And then you caught him at a rate of knots. And he's put on his best Gandalf impression and decided you shall not pass. So I think that one will go to review and they'll make a decision there. But... yeah, a good night for you. Kept it clean most of the night, which, if you don't know the track very well, that's an impressive effort, I will say, because, it's the sort of track you really can't look away for a moment, hey? It punishes you hard.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got to, the thing is, it's so long, there's so many quarters, you just got to keep concentrating. As soon as you start to look away or think about, the footy, that's all it takes to put it in the fence.
It, it definitely, definitely does make life difficult for drivers, this one. So, I guess the others aren't looking to have a chat tonight, so that may be the end of proceedings. Do you have any thanks and shout-outs? And also congratulations on extending the lead. I'm not sure if you were caught up or saw it in the rear vision mirror, but you're in a close battle at the moment, the battle of the Matts, as I like to call it, between you and Matt Knight. And he had to put in a bit of a recovery drive and finish P6 tonight after a first lap incident.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I was... he was only, I think, a row behind me on the grid to start with, so I was interested to see how that played out. But yeah, just usual suspects: Dash Off Road, TKR, Dash Racing, Handcrafted Hummus, all by my friend Marty, and again my mum having a wine on the lounge. My mum Donna. I hope you enjoyed it. 2 hours of that.
Shout out to you, Donna. I hope you enjoyed the race, and shout out to everybody that's joined us tonight. Let me have a look and see if I can find the schedule here real quick and find out where we're going to next week. Schedule. So, next week, we're off to Spa for 90 minutes. One of my favourite tracks. Disappointed not to be racing and in the box, but that's the life I've chosen. So, thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. Thank you to Matt Webber for joining me in the box to at least have a chat about how things turned out. Shame on Rankin for running a stock livery. I'm disappointed in you, Rankin. And we will see everyone next week. Thank you very much. And we'll see you then as the championship battle heats up towards the pointy end of the season.